As you age, you may find yourself asking, do I want to live a life of peace or one filled with drama and anxiety? Have you ever felt like there are people around you, whether family or friends, who constantly drain your energy, leaving you exhausted and stressed? They're the energy vampires, the manipulators, or the relentless critics. These individuals can sabotage your happiness without even realizing it. Imagine stepping into your later years, where the remaining days of your life could be peaceful and serene, if only you know how to choose positive relationships. But if you don't, all that will be left is physical and emotional exhaustion. Are you ready to make a change? Keep watching this video, inspired by Keanu Reeves, to discover how you can protect yourself from toxic relationships and build a life worth living, even in your later years. As we grow older, one truth becomes increasingly clear. It's not just about having people around, but having the right people. We must be wise enough to carefully choose who will walk with us, even if those people are our own family. As time passes, we no longer have the luxury of wasting energy on relationships that drain us, manipulate our emotions, or disrespect our boundaries. At a certain age, inner peace, health, and personal happiness must become our top priority. And to achieve that, sometimes we are forced to make difficult decisions about who truly deserves to stay in our lives. There are 5 types of people we need to distance ourselves from, even if that means cutting ties with family members. As we mature, we realize that not all relationships are worth maintaining. Some people enter our lives only to leave us tired, drained, and empty. These people are the energy vampires, individuals who seem to live by draining the emotional, mental, and physical energy of others without offering anything meaningful in return. At first, these people may not be immediately noticeable. They appear friendly, caring, and seem sincere. But if we observe closely, a familiar pattern begins to emerge. They're always the ones talking endlessly about their own problems, but rarely show any real attention toward us. They pull us into a negative whirlpool, siphoning our care, attention, and sometimes our compassion. Over time, we begin to feel exhausted from their endless demands, constant complaints, and their need for validation. These people are never satisfied with their lives. No matter how much we try, no matter how much time, patience, or energy we give, it's never enough. They keep asking for more, but rarely offer anything in return. They refuse to take responsibility for their own lives and instead place that burden on us. They want us to carry their misfortunes while they make no effort to change. Haven't we all heard stories of heroes in movies or books? People who spent their lives helping others, only to realize that sometimes kindness gets exploited? Like the famous line from Spider-Man, "With great power comes great responsibility." But that power does not mean we must endure without limits. At some point, we must choose: continue letting them drain our energy, or courageously step out of that vicious cycle to reclaim our peace. Life is too short to waste on people who don't appreciate us. It's time to learn how to protect ourselves, set clear boundaries, and prioritize ourselves. Because only when we have enough energy, mental strength, and peace can we live a meaningful and fulfilling life. As we age, we begin to realize that our energy is a precious resource that shouldn't be carelessly spent on people who only deplete it without adding any value to our peace. What's even more painful is that these energy vampires often don't acknowledge or respect our needs. When we try to express that their behavior is affecting us negatively, they dismiss our feelings or try to twist the situation to make themselves the victim. They make us feel guilty when we need space, when we want to set boundaries to protect ourselves. Their lives are like an endless series of crises, and they expect us to carry the weight, to solve all their problems. But this only pulls us into an endless cycle of stress, frustration, and helplessness, because no matter what we do, their demands never stop. Sooner or later, we must face the truth that their presence in our lives is taking far too much without offering anything worthy in return. Perhaps we once thought we had a responsibility to help them, to solve the problems they face. But there's one truth we need to remember: we can't pour into someone else's cup when our own is empty. At some point, we need to learn to value our own energy and time, because these are two priceless resources that, once lost, can never be recovered. It's time to stop letting others drain our energy without giving anything valuable in return. Letting go of energy-draining people isn't always easy, especially when they're family or longtime friends. But if we want a peaceful and fulfilling life in our later years, we must accept that some relationships need to be severed. We deserve relationships that bring joy and positivity, not those that leave us exhausted and diminished. Keeping a distance from people who only take and never give isn't selfish, it's self-care. At a certain age, we understand more clearly that the quality of our relationships is more important than the quantity, and no relationship is worth sacrificing our peace for. As we continue on our life's journey, especially after many experiences, we begin to see the true nature of the people around us. Among them, there is one type of person we must be particularly cautious about: the manipulators. Manipulators are masters at controlling situations in ways that benefit them. They never make direct demands, but instead use subtle tactics to shift our emotions, thoughts, and actions, turning us into puppets in their plans. Instead of simply asking for what they want, they create situations full of hidden meaning, using guilt, shame, and sometimes even love to achieve their goals. As we grow older, our time, energy, and emotional resilience become more limited. It is at this time that manipulators are more dangerous than ever. They wear the mask of kindness, seeming to care more about us than anyone else, always ready to help when we least expect it. But it's all part of a cunning act designed to build trust and lower our guard. Once they've established closeness, they begin subtly imposing their wants, needs, and ambitions on us, without regard for our feelings or well-being. These individuals are very skilled at maintaining just enough of a relationship to keep us around. They give a little, enough to make us feel grateful, then take it back just when we need it most, creating an emotional dependency that we may not even realize. One of their most devious tactics is to instill in us a sense of responsibility for their happiness. They are not afraid to use phrases like, "If you really loved me, you would do this," or "I thought you cared about me, but it seems not if you refuse to help me with this." These words, seemingly harmless, carry a heavy weight, making us feel guilty for not meeting their demands, even when those demands are unreasonable or beyond our capabilities. But the manipulation doesn't stop there. They also use diversion tactics, psychological manipulation, and create ambiguity to make us feel lost. When we try to confront them or resist, they immediately turn the situation around, making us doubt our own emotions and reasoning. They twist the truth, use our own words against us, and make us feel as if we're the ones at fault, reacting too strongly or misunderstanding the situation. These tricks are nothing short of gaslighting, a dangerous psychological tactic that manipulators use to control their victims and make them lose confidence in themselves. At some point, we have to ask ourselves, is a relationship that makes us doubt ourselves, feel guilty, and manipulated really worth maintaining? Someone who truly loves and respects us will never force us with guilt or fear. It's time to wake up and distinguish between genuine care and subtle manipulation. This manipulation can cause us to slowly lose trust in ourselves, questioning every thought, feeling, and action. When confusion becomes a habit, we can no longer trust our instincts or our own position. And over time, these psychological wounds don't just erode our self-confidence, but also wear down our self-esteem. Manipulators often share one trait. They know exactly when to strike and exploit our weaknesses. The moment we show any signs of vulnerability or weakness, they will immediately take advantage of it for their own gain. It could be money, emotional support, or even our physical health. Anything we can give, they are ready to take without hesitation, never considering any form of reciprocation. To them, we are not a person with emotions and boundaries, but merely a tool to serve their needs. Our kindness, loyalty, or generosity are simply resources for them to exploit. Yet, in return, they rarely show gratitude or offer help when we need it. If we express dissatisfaction or feel the situation is unfair, they will react as though we are being unreasonable or ungrateful, making us spiral into a cycle of self-blame and guilt. As time goes on, the psychological burden of dealing with manipulators only grows heavier. Having lived through many ups and downs, we might begin to recognize these behaviors more easily, but that doesn't mean we are immune to them. Manipulators are skilled at targeting our deepest fears: loneliness, the sense of responsibility, or the desire to be loved. They will do everything they can to keep us under their control, from sowing seeds of doubt about our other relationships to making us believe that only they truly care for us. The only way to protect ourselves is to learn how to set and fiercely maintain clear boundaries. Recognizing the signs of manipulation early is key to stopping it from infiltrating our lives. Listen to your instincts. If a relationship leaves you feeling drained, exploited, or constantly guilty, it's time to reconsider. A healthy relationship is always based on mutual balance and exchange, not a one-sided energy drain. We owe no one our time, energy, or peace, especially when they view us as a tool to fulfill their selfish needs. At a certain point in life, we will realize that inner peace, simple happiness, and our own worth are more important than any relationship. As we move through our later years, what matters most is not having many people around, but having people who truly value us, those who don't make us sacrifice our own well-being to keep them in our lives. As life moves into its later stages, we cherish peace, simple joy, and the value of our own selves. It is also when we realize who truly supports us and who only drags us down. One type of person to avoid is the perpetual critic, the masters of judgment. They could be family or friends, but they share one common trait. They always find fault in us, no matter how small, and aren't hesitant to express their sharp, sometimes cruel remarks. What's striking about this criticism is that it doesn't come from care or a desire to help us grow. It comes from insecurity, disappointment with themselves. These people always have a critical eye, a cold tone when commenting on our decisions, appearance, or habits. At first, it may seem like passing comments, but over time, they turn into invisible daggers that pierce our self-worth, slowly eroding our confidence. They disguise their harsh words as advice or constructive feedback, but the true intention is to make us feel like we are never good enough. Our successes are never enough for them to admire, and our efforts are never acknowledged. When we share our joys or accomplishments, they'll find ways to belittle or twist them, making us question whether they're really worth celebrating. No matter how hard we try to improve ourselves, they will always focus on what we haven't done, never recognizing the progress or effort we've made. The most dangerous part of these people is their ability to make us doubt ourselves. When, day after day, we hear their criticisms, we begin to lose trust in ourselves, question every decision, and lose sight of our own value. This is a mental trap we must recognize early, because no one has the right to make us feel inadequate or unworthy of happiness. At some point, we need to be strong enough to set clear boundaries, protect our self-respect, and give our attention to things that truly matter. There are words that, if heard long enough, can take root in our minds, making us gradually believe we're never good enough. The constant critics have a way of making us see ourselves through their distorted lens. They rarely offer anything truly helpful or constructive because their words don't stem from a desire to help us grow, but from their own dissatisfaction, from wounds they haven't healed, which they unintentionally or intentionally dump on us. They seek power by making others feel small. These relentless critics often justify their behavior by claiming they're just being honest, that their harsh words come from concern. But in truth, the veneer of honesty hides judgment and cruelty. Unlike genuine feedback aimed at helping us grow, their words offer no solutions, only highlighting flaws and making us feel like failures. There is no opportunity for learning or improvement in their criticism because their goal isn't to help us mature, but to impose an unreasonable standard that they themselves set. Their criticism is constant and unending. If they don't like something about us, they'll bring it up again and again, chipping away at our confidence. Eventually, we'll feel like we're walking on thin ice, constantly fearing when the next criticism will come, and each time it does, it makes us doubt ourselves even more. This is an incredibly draining source of negativity, especially when we've reached the years where we should be enjoying peace from experience and wisdom. These people trap us in a loop of doubt and gloom, preventing us from focusing on what truly matters and brings us joy. Facing constant criticism, the most important thing is to protect your peace of mind. Learning to set boundaries is absolutely crucial. You must realize that those venomous words do not reflect the truth about you, but rather mirror their own insecurities. People who truly care about you will not constantly drag you down. They will uplift, encourage, and empower you. If there are people who always make you doubt your own worth, perhaps it's time to reconsider their place in your life. It's time to reassess the relationships around you and set clear boundaries with those who continually criticize, no matter how close they may be. No one deserves to endure constant negativity, especially from those who should be offering love and understanding. After going through the ups and downs of life, we have the right to enjoy serenity, no longer drowning in meaningless judgments. For the truth is, critics don't genuinely want you to grow. They want to keep you under their control, causing you to endlessly question your self-worth. It's time to reclaim your voice, listen to your heart, and embrace the love that you truly deserve. Let go of those who are forever filled with criticism and surround yourself instead with those who cherish you, those who will celebrate even the smallest steps on your journey. As we grow older, we come to understand that family is not just about blood relations, but about those who bring us comfort, encouragement, and strength. The ideal family is where you can always return, no matter how harsh the outside world may be. However, not everyone within the family plays that role. Some bring negative energy, turning every conversation into a heavy, dissonant note, dragging your spirit down into the abyss of pessimism. Those who always view the world through a dark lens, let's call them the negative Nancys in the family, are the ones whose presence doesn't bring joy, but only skepticism, frustration, and worry. They have a strange ability to turn everything good into something concerning. No matter how excited you are to share a new opportunity, a memorable milestone, or a positive change in your life, they will be the first to belittle, deny, or find flaws in it. To them, no success is ever complete. Nothing is worth celebrating, because the world in their eyes is filled only with shortcomings and misfortune. These people are like a cold downpour on a bright summer day, always finding ways to extinguish others' joy with their doubts and pessimism. They don't see abundance, only deprivation, not opportunities, only risks. Their distorted view of life makes them the most uncomfortable people to have a conversation with, turning a warm atmosphere into one of suffocation, making moments that should be filled with happiness feel heavy. Instead of letting them dictate your emotions, learn to protect yourself. You don't need to change them, because that's almost impossible, but you can choose not to let their negative thoughts take over your mind. Remember, your life is yours, and no one has the right to extinguish the light in your soul with harsh words. Seek out those who bring positivity, those who are willing to share joy and encourage you to move forward, because they're the ones truly worthy to accompany you in the years ahead. They are always ready to point out every potential failure, making you question whether your efforts are truly worth it. The most exhausting part of being around negative family members is that they only focus on the difficulties rather than looking for solutions. Indeed, everyone will face obstacles in life, but how we deal with them is what truly matters. Some people choose to face challenges with willpower, perseverance, and faith in a brighter tomorrow. On the other hand, there are those who only wallow in the worst-case scenarios, endlessly stuck in fear and doubt. Negative family members are the ones who constantly exaggerate the problems without offering any solutions or encouragement. They will list all the things that could go wrong, the difficulties that might arise, but they will never mention the potential for success or growth. They unintentionally, or perhaps intentionally, plant seeds of confusion in your mind, causing you to hesitate even when you've made the right decision. What's more dangerous is that sometimes this pessimism becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you constantly hear about failure, risk, and obstacles, you begin to believe they're truly unavoidable. The environment around us has a powerful influence on our thinking. If you're consistently surrounded by people who dismiss every positive thing, sooner or later, you'll be dragged into their negative mindset, no matter how optimistic you were initially. Moreover, these individuals also have a habit of diminishing your emotions and experiences. When you share a concern, a worry, or simply your feelings, instead of understanding, they dismiss it with cold statements like, "What's the big deal?" Or "There are people out there who are worse off." These seemingly harmless words carry the power to suffocate your truth, making you question whether what you're going through is truly important. They don't create a safe space for you to be heard, but instead force you to view everything through their lens, making you increasingly doubt yourself. And over time, their presence becomes a burden. The negativity doesn't stop at words. It seeps into your soul, eroding your self-confidence, joy for life, and even your dreams. You start to wonder if it's worth continuing to try, if the light ahead is truly there. But remember, you don't need to focus on those who only seek to diminish you. Your emotions matter, your efforts deserve respect, and your future is in your hands, not in the gloomy predictions of anyone else. Their indifference, their lack of listening, can make you feel isolated, as if every sincere attempt to express yourself is shut down by judgment or trivialization. What makes dealing with negative family members difficult is that they often fail to recognize the impact their pessimism has on those around them. They may convince themselves that they're just being realistic or practical, but in reality, they're draining everyone's mental energy. Because they can't see the consequences of their attitude, they rarely take responsibility for the tense atmosphere they create. These individuals often point out the negative aspects of life or others, but never stop to reflect on themselves. They easily criticize the world, complain about their fate, but rarely ask themselves if they're making things heavier. Sometimes, they even use their negativity as a tool to control others. They sow feelings of discouragement and disappointment, making you subconsciously feel guilty for your optimism or success. Instead of celebrating your achievements with you, they make sarcastic remarks, mock you, or even intentionally try to quash your joy out of envy and personal dissatisfaction. One of the most dangerous things about having people like this around you is the negative impact they can have on your mental and emotional well-being. Day after day, being exposed to a gloomy, despairing outlook, you may slowly get drawn in, losing your natural optimism. The hesitation to express joy and the fear of being judged can make you feel as though you're walking on thin ice. Over time, this emotional suppression can transform into guilt, frustration, and eventually resentment. Eventually, you may realize that you're deliberately avoiding them, limiting contact, and that the relationship has grown increasingly distant, leaving a void in your life that is not easily filled. As you go through life's ups and downs, you come to realize just how precious inner peace is. Setting boundaries becomes essential to protect your mental health. Negative relatives may drain you, but you're not obligated to endure their toxic energy just because of blood ties. Eventually, you have to prioritize your peace, even if it means keeping a distance from those who cannot offer you genuine support and love. You must put your soul's tranquility first. Setting boundaries with these people might mean limiting the time you spend with them, avoiding negative conversations, or even decisively distancing yourself if their pessimism becomes unbearable. You deserve a life filled with joy, positivity, and peace. That requires you to proactively distance yourself from those who only siphon off your energy with their constant negativity. Life is short, and as you mature, you should focus on nurturing happiness, fostering positive relationships, and growing as an individual. People who spread darkness will only pull you back. Recognize that their sadness and discontent don't define who you are or your worth. They have their own battles to fight, and it's not your responsibility to carry them along in their pessimism. Let go of the invisible bonds that drain your energy, and instead, Focus on relationships that uplift, encourage, and inspire you to enjoy the best years of your life. In this world, there are people who seem to live solely to create chaos. They possess a strange talent for stirring up conflict, making the atmosphere around them constantly tense and unnecessarily complicated. These are the drama creators, people who are always at the center of every problem, from emotional conflicts and family disputes to social turmoil. For them, life is not about peaceful moments or harmonious relationships. It is a stage where they must keep the drama escalating. These people have the ability to turn the smallest of issues into a tragedy. Whether it's a simple misunderstanding, a minor inconvenience, or an insignificant difference in opinion, they can blow it out of proportion into a full-blown crisis. They are never satisfied with peace. They need some strong emotional trigger to feel alive. Creating drama isn't just a habit for them, it's almost an inherent part of their nature. They could be the pitiful victim, the reluctant hero, or the betrayed one as long as they're the protagonist of the story. The easiest way to spot a drama creator is their constant need for attention. They can't stand being forgotten or overlooked. To maintain their position in the spotlight, they're willing to stir up conflicts, provoke arguments, and even distort the truth to make everything more dramatic. Like an actor constantly seeking the stage lights, they need an audience to witness the stories they weave, even if it means hurting others in the process. Being around them feels like being caught in a chaotic movie where there's no room for peace or quiet moments. Some people, instead of seeking calmness, feel uneasy in the face of stillness and stability. For them, everything must always be turbulent, or else they'll feel left behind. They never let situations settle around them, always looking for ways to stir things up, sometimes just because they want attention. Meaningless arguments, exaggerated issues, or even rumors created just to keep the spotlight, all of these become tools to drag others into their emotional whirlpool. These people are like puppeteers pulling at others' emotions, knowing exactly how to provoke reactions, make you feel guilty or defensive, and especially drag you into their senseless battles. Surely you've met people who just want their feelings validated, even if those feelings are completely unreasonable or stem from a misunderstanding. They won't hesitate to twist the truth, withhold information, or create a narrative that casts them as the hero, just to earn sympathy, agreement, or attention. The scary part is, these people not only draw attention to themselves, but they also pull others into their conflicts. If no one participates in their emotional battle, they won't hesitate to accuse you of abandoning them, betraying them, or being indifferent. They'll always find a way to make you feel like you're lacking if you don't engage in their drama. Even when you try to distance yourself from these situations, you'll immediately be labeled as someone who no longer cares. Moreover, these drama creators lack the ability to regulate their emotions. They live in constant emotional flux, with even the smallest shock sending them into a spiral of uncontrollable reactions. They don't know how to handle problems calmly or rationally. Instead, they act impulsively, creating unnecessary chaos. Thus, they become the epicenter of every upheaval, never satisfied with peace, because only turmoil makes them feel important and in control. Indeed, they're like violent waves, never letting the sea be calm. Drama creators have a unique ability to react extremely to every situation. Every small failure, every minor difficulty in life becomes a major disaster in their eyes. Anger, frustration, sadness, or even panic will erupt quickly, and they won't hesitate to unload their fury, demand for attention, or request for sympathy and help onto those around them. These unstable emotions create an incredibly unpredictable environment, making it nearly impossible for anyone trying to engage with them to maintain a healthy, stable relationship. One notable trait of these people is that they never take responsibility for their actions. Whenever things go wrong, they usually refuse to acknowledge their mistakes. Instead, they look for ways to blame others or twist the situation into a story where they're the victim and everyone else is to blame. They easily distort the truth, concocting an unfounded story to protect themselves and keep their image spotless. This creates an endless cycle, as no issues are truly addressed and no one resolves anything. These people prefer to keep their story as the victim rather than face the facts and work on solving the problem. The emotional and mental exhaustion that you endure when you're around people like this is inevitable. Their constant demands and emotional manipulation slowly wear you down. Before long, you'll find yourself living in a constant state of instability, never knowing when they'll create another crisis or how to avoid getting swept up in their drama. Every interaction with them feels like a fragment of a battle, and you can never tell if you'll become a part of their senseless struggles. Even when you've done nothing wrong, they somehow make you feel as if you're responsible for their emotions and actions. Over time, confusion, anger, and disappointment accumulate, creating wounds that are difficult to heal. If you want to find a way to maintain peace in your life, it's crucial to set clear boundaries with drama creators. They will relentlessly challenge these boundaries, pulling you into spirals of conflict and chaos. They'll find every possible way to manipulate your emotions, blame you, or make you feel responsible for their problems. The key to protecting yourself is to recognize these tactics and learn how to refuse to participate in their drama. You need to understand how to maintain distance, separate your emotions, and not let their manipulations affect your life. To protect your soul, sometimes you must learn how to keep your distance, establish firm boundaries, and not allow others to invade your emotional space. Especially when dealing with drama creators, those who perpetually stir up your life with conflict and turmoil. Life already presents enough challenges, but constantly creating chaos only feeds the egos of those who crave attention and prominence. If you truly desire inner peace, if you want to restore harmony in your relationships and live in a space free from unnecessary stress, you must learn how to stand firm and refuse to let drama dictate your life. Remember, not everyone around you will bring positivity, support, or the energy you truly deserve. Some people only know how to live in the chaos of manipulation and conflict, and recognizing these toxic behaviors early on will help you protect your mental health. Drama creators, emotional manipulators, and those who constantly criticize and bring unnecessary negativity will drain you. Therefore, approach them with caution, protect your peace, and learn how to set healthy boundaries. Never forget that not everyone around you wants you to grow or be happy. Avoiding these people, whether they are family or not, isn't abandonment, it's self-preservation. You deserve to be surrounded by those who uplift you, support you, and believe in your potential. So, throughout your life's journey, actively release those who bring only harm rather than positive value. Protect your energy, nurture your spirit, and ensure that your peace is always safeguarded. Most importantly, remember that you have full control over who you allow into your life and the influence they have on your journey. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope the insights shared here serve as an important reminder for you to protect your mental health and build healthy relationships. Our lives aren't always easy, but by choosing the people around us wisely and maintaining inner peace, we can live each moment fully, unaffected by negativity. Don't forget to share your story with us. We'd love to share and learn from your experiences. If you have any issues or questions, feel free to leave a comment below this video. We're always here to listen and create more videos to help you solve your problems. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, share, and comment with your thoughts. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future valuable content. We truly appreciate your support and always strive to provide the best content for you. Wishing you a wonderful day, full of positive energy and happiness.